Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙪 channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today I have a new guest, Mohan Sonti. Mohan is a political analyst. He analyzes politics, he analyzes elections, and he has been analyzing Indian elections as well as the elections in the United States. So essentially a person who's interested in the trends, the ebbs and flows, and what have you. Mohan has a chemical engineering degree from IIT Mumbai, and I think it's IIT Bombay, and he's from Andhra Pradesh, but he has lived and grown up in various cities such as Mumbai, Chennai, and some other cities. And he is a yoga teacher, a certified yoga teacher, and politics is his hobby. And today we're going to be looking at the 2024 elections that happened in India, but with a data focus, looking at the trends, where things went wrong, could this have been seen by the parties themselves, all that and more. Let's now welcome Mohan Sonti. Mohanji, namaskar and welcome to 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙪 channel. How are you, sir?
Namaste, Shriji. I'm doing good. Basically, yes, I have a deep passion in just understanding, analyzing the politics. And I just want to bring in the view of, we have all the numbers and all the statistics, and then we make an analysis based on that. Because I think after this elections, which was a shocking result, there are a lot of passions that's flying around. So people have their own narratives that they have set in. So I just want to make sure which ones are true, and we can look at the numbers so we know what analysis makes more sense.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. And without further ado, let's jump straight into the slide deck. I'm going to start it, and then I'll let you take over and talk to it. Over to you.
All right. So first, these are the things that we're going to cover here. So this is the 2024 Lok Sabha election analysis for the BJP from the BJP's perspective. Focus on that. We are going to start with understanding the election statistics. You can always scroll back and see these numbers again, but we'll go with the analysis based on these statistics. So we'll go with the national statistics, what the numbers show, the state statistics, the state vote share, the party gains and losses. These are the broad categories. And then we'll go with the factors that are affecting the BJP party, the ones that are low to no impact and the ones that are high and likely impact, and what can potentially change and where they need to focus on. So these are the things that we're going to cover. So we'll start with the national statistics. Now, some of these slides, you can always go back in the video and you can see these numbers. We'll just go ahead with the analysis later. So you don't have to memorize everything here. So if you look at the national statistics, we see that the BJP since 2024, it got 36.56%, and which is only down by 0.8% from 2019 change. The number of seats, yes, it lost about 63 seats. From 303 to 240. For Congress, it gained a meager 1.7%, going from 21% to from 19.5%. Yes, it gained 47. It almost doubled the number of seats. With the Samajwadi Party, you can technically say it just doubled the percentage-wise too. From about 2.5%, it went to 4.5%. All right, but it gained a whopping 32 seats. So if you look at these numbers, the first thing we have to see is that the people have this narrative that somehow the BJP is in crisis and the whole country is going, the opposition party, the Congress has a big resurgence. Actually, a lot of that is not true. Because if you look at the trends of how many seats, how many people have actually voted, the voting trend hasn't changed much. BJP just lost about 0.8% of the seats, total number of votes. And Congress gained a meager 1.7%. So what really happened here is more of a poll math. Just see how they can consolidate, and if they do an optimization, then you can get more number of seats for the same percentage of votes. So with all the alliances and everything, they did a very good math on that. But this is as far as they can go, because from 2019 to 24, absolutely in terms of the support that these parties have, there isn't much change at all. So essentially, they just played a little bit of a math game. And we're going to go more into those details later. The registered votes, it went up by about 6%, and the total votes cast went down by about 0.79%. Now, there was a talk about, and if you look at it, the vote percentage was 67.4 in 2019, and it's still 66.61. There was a lot of talk about there is a heat wave and there are so many other reasons the Hindus don't go and vote, and there's a consolidation. There's so much talk and so many narratives that are flying around. If you look at the numbers, that isn't really true. So those are the things that we should not really spend much time on saying how the heat wave changed, low voter. None of that is true. The voter turnout is just about the same. There isn't much difference between 66.6 and 67.4. So really the turnout was also just about the same, right? So we had to keep that narrative aside as well. Now, just keep in mind that average person to seat ratio is every 1.8% of votes that anybody gets. On an average, they should be getting about 10 seats. And as the percentage goes higher, like for the BJP, once it goes to 30s and 40s, obviously you get a bigger share. Now, the alliance distribution, if you see, the NDA got 293 seats. And it's a coalition of 15 different parties, including the independents, not the independents. There's just 15 different parties that have contributed from 1 seat to different various numbers, of which NDA has over 80 to 90% of the seats just belong to the NDA. That's 240 of them, right? The 80% belong to BJP has 80% of the seats. 10% come from 2 other parties, which is the Janata Dal and the JDU and TDP. And all the remaining parties put together contribute to the remaining 10%, right? So BJP still has the same kind of a command that it had before. Yes, this is an alliance partnership, and it does look like there are 15 parties, but this is not an equal partnership in some sense, right? Because BJP has 80% of it. But the India alliance has 234 seats, and that is distributed among 20 different parties. Congress holds, in terms of the number of seats, about 20%, about 30 to 40% of them, 40% of all the seats. But rest is divided among another 19 parties. But one thing we have seen in 2024 is the consolidation into 2 different groups. It's pretty much the BJP, which has 80% of all the seats of the NDA, and then a conglomeration of about 20 parties called the India Alliance, right? All the others, earlier, we remember in the past elections, we had a 3rd front, 4th, we don't have any of those. All the others got 9 from 6 parties, and there were 7 independents. That's about it. And the rest of them had nothing. So now we have consolidated into 2 major groups. So that is a significant change that we had in 2024. And that reflects upon many of these seat changes. Now we go to the state statistics, and I'm going to cover just the top 8 states. I'm going to skip Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, where BJP pretty much got all of the seats except 1 in Gujarat. So what happened in Uttar Pradesh and other? We are looking at the 8 major states. So we'll start with Uttar Pradesh. I think this was the biggest shocker. We saw that the Congress, the BSP was also a player. BSP and BJP together lost about 18%. And Congress and SP gained that same 18%. Right? So Congress did not make that big of a headway in Uttar Pradesh. And SP was a big player. It did dip down in the previous elections, and it had some resurgence. But if you look at the numbers carefully, SP has only 33% and BJP has 41%. But SP has more number of seats. So this again is a poll math. Essentially, they did a lot more optimization, and they knew how to get what votes will get what seats. And they have done a better optimization, a better math, the poll math, than BJP has done. Otherwise, for a higher percentage, we can see that BJP actually got a lower number of seats. So if they can get this particular math right on how to convert the percentages into the right number of seats, I think BJP will be back in the game, and it'll probably capture almost all of them, right? The next one, if you look at it, is West Bengal. Now, I know there are a lot of talk about West Bengal. The BJP didn't do well at all. It lost almost 6 seats. And AITC, the Trinamool Congress, TMC, it gained 7 seats. But in reality, if you look at it, the ground situation hasn't changed much. BJP still retained its own percentage. It was 40%. It's 38.7 right now. It lost about 1.5%, which is a margin of error, right? It's a very small, insignificant change. And AITC didn't gain anything significant either. It got 2.5% more. So there wasn't really much of a change. But if anything, Congress is practically wiped out from there. At some point, it had about 14%, and today it has about 4.5%, which means this is a point of no return for Congress. Congress is pretty much gone, and it's over. And same goes with the communist parties, which apparently ruled for 30 long years, but really is nowhere to be seen. It's completely gone. It became a 2-party system there. So there is some consolidation. You can say the AITC gains could have definitely come from the Congress and the CP, the Communist parties, which happened even in the previous elections. So BJP stood its ground. So it is not something that BJP has lost significantly. Again, a good optimization. They lost 6 seats and AITC gained 7 seats. Maharashtra is the other place where, again, people say the BJP has really lost a lot and things didn't go well. But actually, if you look at the numbers carefully, BJP again retained what it had. It had the same base. Congress too retained its base. But it did a fantastic math on how it managed the numbers and the percentages with the seats. And Congress gained 12 and BJP lost 14. All of this is how you manage your numbers. This is converting the vote percentage into the polls. Essentially, you distribute your risk and you should distribute all of your vote percentage and make sure you get more number of seats for the same percentage. And they have done a very good job of that optimization. As far as the Shiv Sena and NCP is concerned, we can see that after the split, they used to be at 15.6%. The NCP, the combination after it was split, it has come down to about 13.5 to 14%. So it actually lost ground. Shiv Sena gained a little bit, but that is okay. The split, was it a good idea? I think it was a good idea because neither of them are individually powerful. But we can see here that in Maharashtra, BJP today is the most powerful party. It has the highest percentage and nobody comes even close to it. The rest of the game is about how they're going to gain the higher percentage and get all the seats from Maharashtra. This is a very strategic move, and I think it's going to be much better from this point on, right? So this, the number game, yes.
One question, sorry to stop the flow here, but the way I see this thing is, these numbers are screaming one thing at me, especially the Maharashtra numbers, Mohanji, and that is that the Maharashtra something BJP plus Shiv Sena plus NCP Ajit, they don't need Ajit. They have 50% just between BJP and Shiv Sena. Why are they letting this guy tag along? They're nothing but trouble now.
So if you look at it, sometimes it is NCP that is split. It already had 13%, right? Once it had 15.6% at one point. If they split the party, it'll dissolve faster. So it is not so much as they need the NCP, but it makes more sense to split the party into two, and because there are differences, and it makes sense. And as you can see, it went down by 2%, and next time the chances are it'll lose even more. The NCP will eventually become a non-player.
Yeah, Mohanji, I'm sorry. I think I read it wrongly. The 23.5 you have put against Shiv Sena is the combined vote of Shiv Sena and SSU. So what we really should be looking at is the vote percentage in black. 26.18 for BJP plus SHS is 12.95. That
Correct.
comes to 40, approximately 40,
Yep.
plus NCP 43%.
Yep.
Then the other side will be 26 plus 16, 43. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a real fight. My God, that's amazing.
It's very, very close. But if you look at it, the game that the Congress and the other parties have done, they have probably done a very good job in the India Alliance and how they consolidated the percentages and converted how they optimized it and converted them to the number of seats. We see that even if the change is little, like in Uttar Pradesh, the BJP has almost 8% higher, but actually got less number of seats. BJP in West Bengal, there's almost no change in the percentage, but they lost 6 and AITC gained 7. Same with Maharashtra, they are almost close, but Shiv Sena and BJP lost a lot of seats, and others have gained it. So the way they played this game is really brilliant because they know how to optimize things. So in that sense, they've done a very good job. But if this is a game that BJP can understand, then on the ground, the number of the support vote percentage, nothing much has changed over there. It's actually how they have optimized it and changed that into the number of seats that has changed. And for NCP, I think it will soon be a non-player in the coming elections. So we're left with Shiv Sena and BJP and Congress pretty much. And BJP is leading all the way, and Shiv Sena is, once we start integrating with them better, I think Maharashtra will be in good shape.
Mohanji, I look at the correct numbers and I see why Ajit Pawar has to be with the NDA alliance for the state elections. they are going to lose otherwise. I mean, these numbers are screaming at us, saying that look, you cannot let go of Ajit Pawar. Viewers, I have changed my stance. I thought this was not needed. This is from the heart. The head now tells us that you do need Ajit Pawar's alliance here. I stand corrected.
For now.
Sometimes these mistakes do happen. And I'm glad you opened my eyes, Mohanji, as it will of many viewers who are watching this. Viewers, please like this video right away. We have got many more gems coming across. Over to you, sir. I will try to not interrupt you. I'm getting excited because the story that you are telling me in numbers is just very impressive. Over to you, sir.
So the NCP at some point, I think that all these are going to become non-players and it'll slowly merge into the BJP and Congress, and BJP is going to take a big lead. I think Maharashtra is going to see something which few other states have seen with a very large margin of BJP. But these are little transitional things. For now, 2024, this is how it looks. Now we go to the Bihar side. Bihar side, what was surprising is the RJD gained the most. Whatever is lost by BJP and JDU went to RJD. But again, the Congress didn't make much of an inroad. It's still a 1.3%. BJP and JDU lost marginally. So these numbers, the Bihar isn't that big a change. These are all very transient and very small changes. Yes, there are some numbers up and down. But on the whole, these things are very reversible. Now we look at the four other states. One is Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, BJP had a fantastic gain. It really made inroads, and now it has become a good big player in Tamil Nadu. We see that AIDMK is really not doing that good, right? It scored 0, and even though it has 20% of the votes, it doesn't have any strong good leadership. Earlier, the DMK and AIDMK always had, back and forth their leaderships, but right now AIDMK is creating a vacuum, and because that's a vacuum, BJP stepped in. DMK already started losing. By next term, the DMK is going to lose substantial and BJP is going to catch up. I think there is a very high possibility that soon Tamil Nadu will have a BJP government. And this is a substantial gain. 11% is a substantial gain at this point. Rest of the parties that you see are CPIM, VCK. All of these are based on IUML is Indian Union Muslim League, the communist parties. Some of them are based on, they call themselves as the Dalit parties, and pretty much all of them are little group parties, right? And they have other ideologies. But BJP eventually, the Congress again, just for the record, right? Tamil Nadu is the first state to throw out Congress comprehensively back in 1967. So they never had a national party since 1967. Every other state had Congress to some extent, but Tamil Nadu threw them out completely in 1967. They never had it back. And I don't see Congress coming back again in Tamil Nadu ever. Then we go to Andhra Pradesh. It has, again, stellar gain. It had almost, it went to 11%. It had a gain of 10%. For a very long time, BJP was on the margins. If you look carefully here, the TDP and JSP, the Janasena party, both of them actually lost a certain percentage from 2019. Once again, the math shows that TDP gained 13 seats and JSP also gained a couple of seats, 2 seats. And BJP got 3, but BJP made the biggest inroads. Everybody else lost. And YSRCP lost pretty much the same percentage that BJP gained. Essentially, there is a segment of that population that simply shifted from YSR to the BJP side, right? So Andhra Pradesh is going on a very good direction. Yes.
Sorry, the two states that you just described are too compelling for me. And if I don't have the data in front of me, the question will not be right. So if I look at this, I'm just doing my mental math, 3 years or 2 years down the road, Congress plus ADMK can really give a run for the money for the DMK plus its satellite parties, such as CPIM, VCK, MDMK, IUML. That is 36%. These guys are 31%. Now we are seeing that there is going to be erosion, and there will be further erosion of DMK. I have no doubt in that. And if you look at where the BJP gained, surprisingly, it has not gained from ADMK. It has gained from the DMK. That
Correct.
Gives me a lot of hope, Mohanji. I mean, yes. My God, it's easy to say, no, we lost. But look at these numbers here. This is just amazing.
Exactly.
And
the gain is coming from DMK. That is the key there. It is not coming from ADMK. So it's actually
Yes,
DMK
yes.
lost and BJP gained pretty much the same percentage. AIDMK, will it form an alliance with the Congress and CPI? Not likely, because many of them are not going to form an alliance. And even if they do it, there's going to be a very rapid decline of all of them. They would rather go back to BJP, because AIDMK was in partnership with BJP in the past too. But DMK is declining, and that is a segment that is moving to BJP. That is a very significant change in Tamil Nadu. It is not that even AIDMK gained some votes, right? And the numbers are very similar if you look at it. 7% DMK lost, 7.5% BJP gained. You'll see the same in Andhra Pradesh. It is not gaining from TDP or JSP. It is actually all of them lost certain percentage. YSRCP lost 10.2%, and BJP gained pretty much exactly the same percentage. So you see the shift is actually happening quite paradoxically. It's going from DMK to BJP. It is going from YSRCP to the BJP, or however you want to look at the flow. Right? Just as much percentage. If somebody thinks people go from YSRCP to TDP, very unlikely, but the same percentage must have moved from TDP to BJP as well. The idea is the flow is in that direction. Same in Tamil Nadu, and this is very heartening. This is the first time they have made very big inroads in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Then
Yes,
we'll
indeed.
come back to Karnataka, but let's go to Rajasthan first. Of the two states where BJP lost the most, one is in Uttar Pradesh, the second is in Rajasthan. It's interesting that these two states are supposed to be fairly strong in BJP, and they had a good control over it. But these are the two states where they have lost the most. But again, you have seen in Uttar Pradesh, there is an 8% margin. BJP has 8% higher votes, but less number of seats. How the math was maintained, how the optimization was done, by the Congress Party or India Alliance, whoever has done it, they have done a beautiful job. Same in Rajasthan, you look at it, BJP has 50% of the votes. Congress has a meager 38%. Yet, BJP lost 10 seats and Congress gained 8. So it is about how you manage the percentage of votes and how you translate that into the seats. That is very key. And they have done a good optimization in these two states. But if this is a lesson that the BJP can learn on how to manage these things, then these can be very easily reversed, because Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh is a well understood and well contained system that BJP knows it's their backyard, and they know how to handle it. Yeah.
Before we go to Karnataka, may I indulge you for another question on Uttar Pradesh? I put it back here.
Yeah.
Somewhere I feel that the BSP, and it is known to do this thing, it will quietly sit out elections. Here they put candidates, but on the ground, sir, I could be wrong, but the numbers are telling me that they sat out the elections this time also. But not only did they sit out, they signaled, go and vote in this alliance. This is my conjecture. I could be horribly wrong, but the numbers, that's what the numbers are telling me. Your thoughts?
They played a spoil sport in few places. Actually, you will see that in Varanasi and a few other places. Even if you go into the individual constituencies, the BSP did play a spoil sport, and it actually cut into some of the BJP votes. So it's some people think it is actually a good partnership, or maybe they cut into SP, but it's not really so. Other parties have gained. As you can see here, BSP lost, BJP lost. It doesn't make much sense for somebody to put things against the BJP here. But that's for the further analysis to see how the BSP affected. Eventually that will be gone. Eventually the BSP is also in a decline. But yes, even in Rajasthan is the second place where BJP lost significantly, but said that the way the numbers are managed, you see we have a higher percentage, significantly higher. It's almost like 11% higher in Rajasthan, but still it lost 10 seats, a substantial number, almost close to half of them. And Congress gained a lot. So it's about how you manage the percentage with the number of seats. Now, Karnataka, from last elections and the ones before, people often thought it's like a BJP stronghold. But what people need to understand is Karnataka in the last 20 years, the portion where people think BJP has a very strong presence, do you know that in not a single assembly election, they actually got the halfway mark? Even when they formed the government, they were below the halfway mark.
Yes.
They had some sort of equality. They never reached the halfway mark. in number of seats. And in fact, the previous time they formed the government, they have a lesser percentage of seats than even the Congress, but they managed to get more seats. So what that tells me is BJP knows how to play that game, on how to manage the percentages. Even with a smaller percentage, how do we get a bigger margins? For whatever reason, this time I think the Congress managed that kind of a poll math much better than BJP did. But once BJP gets back into that game and understands this problem, I think it can just solve it and reverse all of this back. But Karnataka is not a BJP strong bastion. It isn't. I think it did fairly well, and this is kind of what was expected, kind of what it always was, right? But in the past, they managed it well, but they never had the halfway mark. Congress, every time it formed a government, it crossed the halfway mark. It was on its own, but BJP never did it. And so this is okay. Karnataka is a work in progress, but Karnataka has a bunch of other issues too. There are issues within the BJP party. The second major issue Karnataka has is none of the chief ministerial candidates or the chief ministers or the leaders, except Yediyurappa, none of them actually were from originally BJP. They all were transported from different parties. Yeah, they came from different Janata factions to even Congress, right? So Karnataka is a different type of a problem that BJP has, and they have to get that act straight. Otherwise, they'll keep running in circles. Right?
But Mohanji, even in Congress, right? Siddaramaiah was originally a JDS person.
Correct. So Karnataka, they already have the problem, and it's like they are battling it out. They have the problem. Instead of BJP organizing its act, they're doing exactly the same thing. So in this whole anarchy, I think they all are going to be give or take the same. Like we see this 46%, 45%. They all are going to look just about the same. It's like choosing between one or the other doesn't make much of a difference anymore, right? Because they all are playing the same, this kind of a game. But if BJP can get its act together, go to the fundamentals and have its own party, which I see happening if somebody like Tejasvi Surya comes up. He's still very young. He's a kid. But in the coming years, he's very, very promising. And if they can get that act together, then I think that will be a more stable government and BJP will come to the fore. But right now, they are basically trading the leaders all the way to the chief ministers. They're literally trading each other. So it's really nobody knows who they're really going to vote. I mean, the same person they can vote in BJP can one day he can be part of the Congress, and the next day it could be. I mean, it could be the same person. So really, they're trading the people. So that is not really a good situation. It's not really good politics in Karnataka. But eventually, I think that will change once somebody like Tejasvi Surya and few other very promising candidates when they come up. So Karnataka, people need to get rid of the notion that it is a BJP bastion. It isn't. It never was. To the fact that it never formed a government with a majority. It never crossed the majority, the halfway mark, ever. So it is not really a BJP bastion. Then we go to the other statistics. Now look at the state vote share in the party gains and losses. Here I have listed the previous 8 states that I have listed cover about 60% of the seats. I skipped Gujarat and Rajasthan, where I said BJP got most of the seats. I added them here. These 10 states cover 70% of the seats, and adding the remaining 3 is 80%. This is 80% of all the seats in the country, right? So this is significant. In other places, what the polling percentage is and what contribution matters a little bit. But these 13 states pretty much cover 80% of the seats, and these numbers are very significant and important to note. You'll see a certain anomaly here. One is between, for example, Tamil Nadu and Bihar. Bihar has 40 seats and Tamil Nadu has 39, right? Bihar had a 56% polling and Tamil Nadu had 70% polling. But if you look at the share of the total number of votes that was contributed to the nation, Tamil Nadu contributed 6.73, Bihar did 6.71. This clearly shows that the boundaries need to be redrawn, because it's 70% of the people in Tamil Nadu for 39 seats have voted, and that contributes to only 6.73% in the country. Whereas Bihar, 56% of the people voted, and that also contributes to 6.71. Obviously, the population has changed. At some point, the number of seats and everything needs to be remapped. It needs to be aligned. But said that, do you see? I have marked the top six, or I have marked the top six states with the highest polling. So, Shriji, do you see anything that's common between all of them? The ones that had the highest polling in the country.
Well, interestingly, the numbers have actually gone down, except for Maharashtra.
Correct. But the ones in the green, if you look at the polling percentage, I put the top six states with the highest polling. I'll tell you what is common among them. It's just an observation. And I think it is grounded in certain truth, but things that cannot be said out openly.
I think I know. I'll make the guess. I think I figured it out. The higher the percentage, the better chances there are for BJP.
Actually, we can put it another way. These six states, BJP has never ruled.
That's true. That's true.
Now, the question that I have is, and there is one outlier here, which is the Madhya Pradesh, which comes right after this. And what is interesting is Madhya Pradesh, until a few elections ago, their polling percentage was at around 50%. And it suddenly had a 10% and 9% gain. And this time it went down by 5%, but it suddenly had an upward trend. It's just a point to note is, what is special? We know West Bengal is in a complete anarchy right now, right? What is special in the states where BJP has never ruled? It never had any significant presence until recently. What is special that they are extremely enthusiastic to go and vote? Is it that, or is there a problem in the voting process there? I'm just saying that is a possibility. That's something that people have to think about. It is not that as soon as there is a good presence of BJP, all these BJP states tend to have a better law and order and they have their different mechanisms. It's not that people suddenly lost their interest in voting. The West Bengal case particularly, and you can see something similar in few other states, that includes Andhra Pradesh too. So in some of these states, I've spoken to a lot of people on the ground, and they have expressed very serious concerns about how many people are registered and whose voting exists and where they don't, or whether they're real names and things like that. There are some concerns that they have expressed, and very serious concerns. But this is something that needs to be looked into on how come all of these states have, and it is nothing to do with the weather. I mean, people thought initially the turnout was low because it's hot and things like that. It's nothing to do with the hot and cold. It's nothing to do with being complacent because they thought BJP is going to win anyway and things like that. None of those narratives are true. But the truth as we see it is, all the highest polling percentage states, BJP was never in power in those regions. Karnataka, if you look at it, yes, BJP was technically in power, but we know what is happening in Karnataka. Right? Same goes with Kerala and other states. Madhya Pradesh is the next highest, but like I said, Madhya Pradesh is also an outlier. It's typically used to be around 50 to 55%, like many other states, but suddenly it jumped up after we saw that there's a tussle in the last couple of elections. There's a growing tussle. So all that I'm saying is there's something that needs to be noted. I'm not claiming something wrong happening. All that I'm saying is this needs to be looked into, because this seems to be a statistical anomaly otherwise, because there's nothing special in those states that other states don't have it. Right? Now, who made the biggest gains? BJP made the biggest gains in Telangana.
Before we go through there, Mohanji, before we go there, change percentage, right? In change percentage, talk to us a little bit. This is the change in percentage of vote for a particular state from 2019. That's what it is?
Correct. From 2019 to 2024, that is the change in percentage. Those are very marginal and small numbers. Like it was 60% polling, it went down by, it was 64 last time, it's 60 this time, and things like that. The biggest drop that we have seen is actually in Rajasthan and Kerala for some reason. And again, it just kind of, one is in the southernmost state, one is way up in the north. So it is nothing to do with the weather or any of those things. But for some reason in Rajasthan and Kerala, we have seen the biggest drop. And the rest of them they are within the margin of errors. I mean, we have seen these kind of swings even in the previous years, right? Then we go to the gains and the losses. the vote share party gains, and the BJP had the highest gain in Telangana. If you look at where all it gained substantial number, none of those states, in all of these states that you see, BJP certainly made good inroads. Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, and Odisha, all these places, they made a good inroads. I think they have already entered into these states and they are in a very comfortable position. Odisha is already, they won with a substantial margin. And others are pretty much on the way, I would say. Telangana is pretty much on the way. It's a very close call. And by next term, the chances are BJP will form the government. And I think Punjab, it made a significant ground. And so is the case with Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So this is very interesting. The substantial losses were, the top 3 losses were from Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Karnataka. Again, these are from the top 13 states that I took, which account for almost 80% of all the seats. Yes, the remaining another 15, 16 states might have a bigger percentage gains and drops, but there are very small states. Those are governed very differently, right? When somebody is governing a very large state, like West Bengal has 90, it's called 90 crores. Right, sorry, 9 crores. So when with 90 million people, with that kind of a population, we see 80% polling and we see this kind of a swing. That is substantial. That seems like a statistical anomaly, on something must have happened. So that becomes important. So that's why I consider only the top 13 states. So Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, it lost the most. We know that, and we already discussed and why it lost. That is still within the game. I mean, they have higher percentage in both the states, 8 to 9%, but still lesser number of seats. They have lost significantly. So they need to understand this poll math. Karnataka is one state we have discussed before. In reality, it is not a BJP state. It never was. It always formed the government with less than the midpoint. The other gains and losses, Samajwadi Party gained the most in UP, Congress in Karnataka, RJD in Bihar, and AAP in Punjab. That's about all the changes they had. And losses, as you can see over here, YSRCP, BSP, they had losses in these respective states. We can see that SAD and Congress have lost significantly in Punjab. So all the gains have been to the AAP and BJP. So slowly the SAD and Congress are getting replaced with Aam Aadmi Party and BJP. So these are the trends and changes. From this point, we will go to the factors with low to no impact. And people can scroll back to see the numbers. But let's go one by one on, there are so many discussions in groups, and I just want to make sure all of them are covered and, you know, we understand which ones are the truths and which ones are the fake, the narratives that are hyperboles and things like that, right? The first is BJP-RSS relationship. It is good. I know there is people have repeatedly asked me about JP Naddaji's statement. He said in the beginning we would have been less capable, smaller, and needed RSS. Today we don't have. We have grown and we are capable, right? So a lot of people asked me. They said, so it looks like RSS is not helping BJP, and are they quarreling? Are they fighting? I would say most of those people, or dare I say that almost all of them, I can say have no idea about how RSS functions. They probably have never been to any shaka. They don't know how RSS functions and what they actually do. So many of them, I believe, get their information from internet, Wikipedia, to any other news article, and they think all of them describe RSS to be some paramilitary organization. And in their mindset, they have the concept like the government calling in CRPF or BSF and saying, I need 2 companies of that. And they all come in, do their job and leave. And this time BJP was upset it didn't call the RSS. Something to that effect. But that is not the truth. See, RSS has, it does not take down any membership. It's just volunteers. And it is not a strict command and control system. It's more of a flat structure. So it is not like somebody passes orders and everybody says, yes, sir, and they just go like a CRPF. I mean, that's the impression they have. So Sangh, what it does basically, it was formed for Rashtra Nirman and Karyakarta Nirman. Their objective is to build the nation, take it to the new glory. And Karyakarta Nirman is build leaders. That's about it. So what does a Sangh Karyakarta do? Anything that is beneficial to the nation, wherever he says something is good for the nation, he is going to be there, right? It is not something that somebody at the top has to pass an order, and if they say don't go, and he's going to stop it. It's not like that. So this Sangh, when they build the leaders, they see the need in the society and different organizations were formed to fulfill that need. And BJP fulfills the need of a political organizer, this one, because Congress and other parties were not doing the good job. So they started with Janasangh, and over the years it turned into a BJP. So Sangh Karyakartas, yes, some people go there to help them how to build the organization when it's in infantile stage, right? But as it matures and grows up, like for any other organization, this is an organizational help that they were talking about. As far as the Karyakartas are concerned, the Karyakartas are free to do what they want to do, and they've always done what they think is best for the country. So many of them do campaign for the BJP. They do, and mostly they do it on their own. You can call them as RSS Karyakartas, but it's nothing to do with the RSS itself. It's not a command and control structure where they passed an order and all the people, like I said, the paramilitary, the companies of BSF, and it's not like that. So JP Naddaji's statement is completely blown out of proportions, and especially it is done by the people who have nothing to do with the Sangh. The chances are they've never seen a Shaka, they don't know what it is, and somebody throws a wrench and these people just jump up and down and think as if there is an issue. There's nothing of that sort. This is the Sangha Parivar. They help, and all the Karyakartas and help, and they do. It's not just for BJP. Sangh Karyakartas will go and help anything that helps the nation. If nation is in a crisis, you'll find a Sangh Karyakarta. If it requires help, they'll be there. So there's no such thing as the statement. If you look at it carefully, every Sangh Karyakarta, I'm sure, will understand this point that yes, as BJP matures, they have their own Karyakartas. They don't need the Karyakartas to be assigned to build the organization anymore. They can build it on their own. That's about it. It has nothing to do with the campaigning. It has nothing to do with any of those other things, right? So the relationship is good, and I think that whole topic is entirely a moot point. Now, that really did not have any impact at all. People believe that somehow the RSS BJP fought the reason Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government lost, and it's none of those things. This has almost no impact at all. Right? These are very insignificant things. The second point is about it is not a low voter turnout. We have already seen it's down by 0.79%. So we should stop saying things like the turnout was low because of the heat, not the right time, and the Hindus have come in less number. None of those things are true, because the numbers tell you a different story. So we should stop that kind of a narratives, right? It has very little to no impact. If 0.79% has almost no impact on the elections, it's entirely how the math ran there, right? Who voted for who? It's no extra people came in and voted, or not many people withdrew. Then we have the anti-Hindu statements and actions. We have seen somebody like Stalin call Hindus or the Dharma, Sanatan Dharma, as a mosquito, the malaria, the fever, corona, and dengue and AIDS and whatnot, right? And he said these need to be stamped out. The Mamata Banerjee, we know about the Sandesh Kali, we know post-assembly election violence. Samajwadi Party has in the past, they've shot and killed the Kar Sevaks. See, these people think matter a lot, but it really doesn't. If you look at the numbers, we're going to go over those numbers on how it impacted BJP and Congress. This did not make any major shift. It really didn't. What it does is there is a dedicated about 20% of the people in the country who actually want the Hinduism to be finished. For whatever the reasons. You can include them because they have their ideological heads are sitting outside the country, their ideological basis, where their heart actually is actually outside the country. So they really want this to be wiped out. This will cheerlead them. There are another 15-20% and growing number of people who are into the civilizational ethos. They really want the country to grow, and they take pride in the civilization, our culture. And that number is growing steadily. And they are going to get very, very upset. Other than these two segments, the vast majority of the country, it has no impact. It really has no impact, and they haven't changed a bit from any of those other states, irrespective of what was said and what was not said, right? The anti-Hindu statements, this group is shrinking, and the ones that have the cultural ethos and the civilizational pride, and that group is slowly increasing. They're finding themselves more self-confident, and that group is increasing. Other than these two groups, and most of the WhatsApp noise that you see in any other groups is going to be from these two groups. The Stalin or Mamata Banerjee, they're satisfying their group. Every time they say, I'm going to break this, I'm going to destroy, they're going to be happy about it. And they're going to say it. It doesn't affect rest of them, right? The dharmic and civilizational changes. BJP did significant things. The Ayodhya was built after 500 years, after a very elaborate legal process. We have done a good national integration by nullifying the Article 370 and fully integrated Kashmir. The national security challenges, which we had these Uri strikes, the Doklam between Pak and China, we had two with China, and two with Pakistan, spreading over both the terms 2016 to 2020. All of these things BJP must do because it is the right thing to do. One significant difference between BJP and the Congress or many other parties in their alliance, the rest of them are doing it so they can stay in power. They will do just enough and what needs to be done. And it is not something new. That's what they have done for the last 50 to 70 years. What needs to be done, what affects, basically, whatever needs to be done to stay in power. They didn't do anything extra. They didn't do anything unnecessary, whether it's good or bad, right? BJP is into the cultural and civilizational ethos and how we are going to build our civilization back, or get our culture, be self-confident, be the Vishwaguru, and have the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, because we do see the whole world as one family. Clearly, all the other countries, other ideologies are discriminatory. We have the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and integrate everyone. This is what we are actually focusing on. So for BJP, this development is essential. It is irrespective of the votes, and it didn't really make any difference in the votes, and we're going to see the numbers later. The last is the development improvement of life. Garibi Hatao. People think the development is amazing. We had the new the toilets and all those things, and everybody is happy. The thing is that really on ground has no impact as far as the votes is concerned. You can have the most beautiful roads, good development, and high economic growth, but the low economic growth, it makes no difference. And the proof is, look at the numbers. The inflation, the Garibi Hatao, the country went in 25 years after independence, it started sliding down under the Congress rule. It went so bad that in 71, the Garibi Hatao became an important call. It became an election rally, and Indira Gandhi did it. And so, if she had to say Garibi Hatao in 71, things have declined substantially. Because we started Garib, it just became even worse, right? Something that really pinched the people. 71 to 91, in 20 years, after practicing the Garibi Hatao by the Congress party, we went to a financial crisis. Did it make a change? People continue to vote for Congress party, and any shift that has happened, it was transitional. And eventually they're transient. I mean, it was transient, and slowly they started changing back, right? The Congress lost the support very gradually because other parties were doing other things. It has nothing to do with the Garibi Hatao. The numbers do not reflect that. Same with the economy, booming economy. Even Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government tried shining India. That really has no impact. Now, this is very sad truth, but this is the truth nevertheless. For inflation, the highest inflation after independence was in 1974 at 29%. Indira Gandhi government. 1981, 13%. 1991, 14%. And 2010, we had the economist, Mr. Manmohan Singh at 12%. These are the highest peaks of inflation in 70 years. Did the percentage change of the vote? It really didn't. We're going to see those numbers as well. The lowest stretch of inflation in the history of independent Bharat was from 1999 to 2004, and then 2014 to 2013. There are a few individual years where it could be a little lower, but as a stretch, these 5 years, this was significant. This is very important for BJP. Why is it important? Because it's important for the country. Did this make a change in the votes? No, it did not. So people think a great development is going to change. No, that has no impact on the voter. For Congress, it never did any of those things because it has no impact on voters. They already knew it. For BJP, they have to work on this because it is not just the winning that they're interested in. They are there for a different purpose. The purpose is to make Bharat one of the Vishwagurus. We have to be strong economically and defense in all other factors. And because we are the peacemakers in the whole world, right? We are the only country that has great relation with practically every other country. All the opposing sides, whether it's America, Russia, or Iran, Israel, Saudi, and Palestine, everything. So we are the only country, our philosophy is an ancient philosophy, and we can be the peacemakers. So that is the key. For that, they have to do it. But does it translate to votes? It doesn't. Does Ayodhya make it to votes? No, it doesn't. But all of those things, the civilizational ethos need to be brought back. These people have to be clear that they are not doing it for votes, and don't expect these changes to translate to votes. Winning the Uri strikes, Doklam, Balakot, none of these had made any dent. And we're going to see that in numbers too again. Let's look at the numbers here. The BJP over the years. The Congress party, even if you go beyond the 1996, right? If you look at all the Garibi Hatao things which went to financial crisis, I mean, the independence with Congress rule became Garibi Hatao, became an important slogan. And then after 20 years of Garibi Hatao, we went to financial crisis. And then we had an economist and we had the highest inflation. It didn't make any difference. In 96, it had 28%. Congress still has 21%. Congress has a dedicated vote block. You can call them whatever they are, but I think these are, Congress has worked on how to keep the power. So there is a large degree of corruption, we can call it, but it's how to keep the power. And those are the power blocks. They dedicatedly vote for them. And these power blocks are supported because these are like the satraps, right? They're supported by the outside the country quite naturally. So they keep that. Other than that, Congress never gained anything for the last 30 years. So if somebody says Congress is taking over, don't worry about the 99. It's just a little bit of a gimmick and optimization. This is as optimized as it can get. There is maybe a little more room because there's 15% more, but BJP knows to do the optimization too. But BJP is actually gaining. Look at the number from 96 to 2024. BJP is gaining incrementally. It is not because of all this development and the economy and all those things are important from a civilizational perspective, cultural perspective. Yes, BJP must do that. Besides that, the election and votes are two entirely different things. People do not vote for that. Let's get that clear in our head that it is not for the Ayodhya, it is not for winning a war. It's none of those things. In fact, Indira Gandhi ji lost the elections after the 71 war, right? One of the grandest victories. I'm just saying people do not vote for that. They vote for other little things, maybe something that is very personal and pet and what is local in that area. That is more important. This people need to get into their head. Otherwise, we'll keep thinking on, we had a great development, right, in BJP, because that is not, we do that for the nation. Votes is a different scenario. We can see that BJP is slowly gaining. There are more and more people joining the idea, understanding the idea of the civilizational ethos, the identity, why we need to have a cultural identity, which the Europe and most of the countries have completely lost. Then we go to the Muslim consolidation. This is another common theme that people talk about. All the Muslims have consolidated. No, they did not. At least not yet. Let's be a little frank here. What happened is Muslim votes, BJP always got just about 5% of the Muslim votes, always. And nothing will change that in the near future. It might change in the far future, but nothing will change right now. But is it consolidated? People think the Congress, everybody, all the Muslims vote for Congress. As you can see in the numbers, Congress has a dedicated vote block and that block hasn't changed. It went a little up and down, few percentage points in few states here and there, but this is a dedicated vote block and they have a certain idea. They have their own satraps, right? They have their own power centers. They have their own corruption, if I may say. That block hasn't changed. Muslim votes are actually divided between Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh, the TMC or AITC in West Bengal, RJD in Bihar, TDP in Andhra Pradesh, and so on and so forth. And some states, even in Kerala, it's split between IUML and INC. IUML is the Indian Union Muslim League. It is the present version of the Muhammad Ali Jinnah's Muslim League. So after the Pakistan was separated, they dissolved it technically, but it was reopened as IUML. You see, the Muslim votes, they are consolidated against BJP, but they are split between all these parties. And if you're seeing the initial numbers, BJP 36%, Congress at 20%, they have their vote block. This block hasn't changed in 30 long years. Now, what changed in 2009 to 2014 is that is when they split Andhra Pradesh. If you look at the numbers, Congress had about 40% until 2009, and come 2014, it went to 11%. That is where it lost significant of the chunk of the votes. But its block remained intact for the rest of the country, and that block continues to vote. That's about it. Is Congress coming back to power? No, it is not. because that bloc hasn't changed. It is the same old bloc. And what is worse is this is in the coalition. So if you look at it, now is Congress rising? That is the second point. This 20 to 25% dedicated vote bloc hasn't changed for 30 years. The drop was because of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh split, followed by the losses in West Bengal, whatever it gained in Telangana, which has about 35 million people. West Bengal has about 85 million. So the 15% gain in Telangana would be like 5% drop in West Bengal, right? Other than that, if you look at Congress, why it isn't rising? This 20% block with the alliance is an even exchange of the votes. Substantial number of these are actually coming from deadweight states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh. For some, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh, for some reason, for the last 30 years, has a consistent 30 to 40% vote block. Even in Gujarat, Gujarat actually has a block which is the longest since independence. That is perhaps the only place in the country who has voted for Congress consistently for all the 70 years, right? This deadlock exists. I don't know why they still have it in Gujarat. Nothing was done about it. Same with Madhya Pradesh and in Rajasthan. So if you take that off, Congress actually has about 10%. And not to forget, their vote percentage dropped. And many of these votes, they got it from the SP and other alliances, with the belief that they could retain the alliance is done based on the previous numbers. The chances of Congress numbers actually went down, but they probably did the alliance based on the previous number 20 and they retained the 20%. In reality, Congress has less than 10%, I would say, 10 to 12% at most in the country. If they don't have the alliance, they will not get, probably not even 1 or 2 seats. Maybe they'll get 5 at most. So all these numbers are a little bit of a magic if you look at it. So Congress is rising. It isn't. As you see the numbers, same block. But is BJP rising? It's a civilizational ethos. It will rise very carefully and gradually. The development is very important. That is not for the votes. The civilizational things like Ayodhya is important, not for the votes. Garibi Hatao. Congress tried. I mean, Congress won on it for like decades. We have to do that for civilizational ethos, but not for the votes. The last couple of points, I'll just go very fast, unless you have questions. The poll math, how it works for the other common theme is about the Modi ji's margin, right? People talk about how the margin is so low and things are terrible. Even Modi ji got a less margin. Think about it this way. It's a very simple elementary math, and the whole narratives is like a gimmick. Modi ji had about 580,000 votes. It went up to 670,000 votes and came down to 612,000 votes. So from 14 to 19, he gained about 90,000 votes and then dropped by about 60,000 votes out of 600,000 votes. Nothing changed there. How did the margins come down? In 2014, you had multiple parties that were split. The votes were split. But the second highest party got 200,000 votes. So the margins is between the highest and the second highest. The rest of them are split, right? In 2019, the highest and second highest is again the same thing. 200,000 is the second highest. But what about the third, fourth, fifth? The third highest is 150,000, which is Congress. All that they did this year, this 2024 was, there was an alliance. The 200,000 plus 150,000, you combine it, it's 350,000. The margin came down. And now Modi ji's votes came down by 60,000. The number of registered voters went up by 90,000 from 2014 to 19. This is something we need to look into. In 2019 to 24, somehow it went up by 140,000. So there was some, obviously there are other 30, 40,000 votes here and there. And with that, the margin looks smaller. So if you do the basic math, yes, 600, Modi ji has 600,000, give or take, right? 600,000 to 200,000 is 400,000. But the second highest is 150,000. You combine them, the margin came down. It's not that Modi ji lost anything. His numbers are pretty much the same. It's still in the 600,000s. But the narrative, the way they give the narrative as if something terrible has happened. You see how the narrative they have set it? Congress is rising, Congress is great, and Modi ji is the sheen is lost, and he has, in fact, his margin came. But if you look at the numbers, all of it is gimmicks. It's magic of narratives. Same goes with the Ayodhya and Faizabad. Always when you see a rise, the drop, the retention is usually 30%. Same in Faizabad, our Ayodhya district. If you look at it, they gained 60,000 votes from 14 to 19. They lost 40,000 votes. Nothing else has changed. BSP was there. Like in other Varanasi, there are so many other parties that dissolved and they merged and the numbers got added up. Now, why would they lose in Ayodhya or Faizabad? It became kind of a prestige issue. But what most people need to look at is it has 5 districts, of which 4 of them had either SP as an MLA candidate, or in the remaining 3, they were very close calls. SP was not a non-player. So it's not like it was a very massive margin. So 4 districts actually had either SP, it was in power very recently, or it's still in power, or the margins are very close. So this delta change of alliance and joining the numbers, they're going to lose. That's about it. So it wasn't like you build the Ayodhya Mandir and everything was lost and nobody cared. See, the hype that they create, if you actually look at the numbers, all the Congress party had about 5% votes that went to Samajwadi Party. BJP's 5% was split into BSP, got 5%. So BJP lost 5%, BSP got about 5%. Congress had 5%, it merged with SP, got 5%. Now you see the 10% delta. 4 districts were already a close call out of the 5. All of a sudden, it looks like the Ayodhya was lost. And it's actually a Faizabad. But everybody wants to say it's as if an Ayodhya seat that is lost, right? The Faizabad constituency has 5 districts, 4 were close calls, and this is how the change was. But it changes the narrative, the way they change the narrative. So the narrative control is important. These are the facts that people need to understand. No, Ayodhya, it is not like it had a stellar margin before and it suddenly lost. None of those things happened. Things were exactly the same. The merger, better poll math, that's what it is. Modi ji's margin, nothing changed. Modi ji got almost the same number of votes. What changed is all these parties merged, and when you add up all the numbers, the margin will be less between the first and the second, right? Because the third was also had a high number. You add all of those numbers. That's it. But the narrative looks like the margin has reduced. It didn't, right? Those margins make more sense in American elections because you have only 2 parties. Not so for us. We have like about a few hundred parties. So when the votes are split and you combine them, the margin between first and second, the second and third could again be very little, right? Now, so as we see, the Congress is not as powerful. I said the persistent substantial presence in Gujarat, Rajasthan, MP, those are dead weight percentages. In reality, the real vote percent is far lower than the alliance votes. On the whole, Congress actually has about 10 to 12%, in my opinion. The remaining is dead weight, which of no use. They don't gain any seats, say in Gujarat and other places. If we have elections, Congress goes by itself, I wouldn't think it'll cross even 5. It'll probably get 10 to 12% across the nation, right? The last what factors, let's go over quickly. The poll math optimization, we talked about it. To form a government, there's always a 5-step rule. You identify the leaders, build the followers, you have in the rallies, translate to votes, convert the votes to the seats, and then form the government. Convert to vote to seats, this is where the poll math comes in. They have done a very good job in 2019, in 2024. We need to accept that how they managed the alliance and how they translated the same percentage, nothing changed. They pretty much had the same percentage of people voting, but they managed the numbers in a way that they converted that votes into the more number of seats. But this is about it. You cannot keep optimizing forever. Sometimes the product has to be good. You can optimize the product to a certain extent and take it to that point, but I think they've hit their limit. After this, unless they can improvise on the product, it's not going any further, as you see, right? But BJP is actually gaining steadily. The civilization cultural ethos, it is gaining steadily. The other things that actually matter is the antagonists, the rising, because Bharat is rising, you'll have too many enemies because it's a new space, like the countries. So far, the big players are USA, China, European countries, and they don't want another country to come rise up and have a stake at the center, right? So we are going to have a lot of enemies, and these countries actually fund. We have a deep state, which we know about. They have the money and power. We have a lot of copycat left liberals who ideologically do whatever the West does. They simply come and mimic that because they think that must be ideal, right? These copycat left liberals, we have anti-nationals. They are well-funded. That is how you counter any rising nation. We do have an issue with the church conversion, Islamic population, demographic change, 'because remember we talked about only 5% voted for BJP. the Muslim votes are not, they are consolidated against BJP, but not necessarily to one party. But if the demographics change, the population increases, which they are trying very hard, that can change the whole scenario, right? Then we have fault lines. The British introduced their own idea of the caste system. They have a class system. We have about 20-30,000 jatis, but somehow they decided to group them because the groups fight better. So that is a divide and rule. The 30,000 people coexisted fine. Imagine a team of, there are so many people sitting in a room and you won't have as much of a conflict because others will stop the conflict. But you divide them into 2 to 3 groups, then all of a sudden the conflict rises. That's exactly what British did, and we need to get rid of that. Political expediency is another thing that had an impact. Loyalty matters. From what I heard from some people is that BJP got a lot of celebrities and people from other political parties who were defecting from other political parties, like in the Karnataka and other places. That is not good because I think this is a political expediency. It's growing slowly, and that is how the civilizational ethos grows. And they must keep pace with that. So a lot of the BJP karyakartas, they have been the karyakartas for like decades when BJP was not in power. And all of a sudden, the one they were very upset with, let's say some Congress party or some other karyakarta, right? Some other leader, and they have been campaigning against him. And all of a sudden, you absorb them into BJP. They don't know what to do. Because the same person, they said, that, remember the guy that I was very upset with, now you vote for him. See, this is not a good idea for them. Same with the celebrities. Do you know the celebrities, half of them, or actually out of all the celebrities, I think 3 or 4 of them, they were celebrities, the actors, but they are actually very genuine BJP MPs as well, like Smriti Irani ji and few others, Manish Tiwari ji and few others. But a substantial number of them, they never even come to the parliament. They never asked a question. The rate is so abysmally low. They came like maybe 15% of the time. It's so low that they're actually not interested in politics. You do not get such people. That is fluff, right? You want to make progress, you don't get these celebrities. And especially the people defecting from other parties. Then party discipline, we have to go back to the roots and grassroots karyakartas, listen to them. There is always a barrier. There is infiltration. They make sure the ground karyakartas message often doesn't go to the top. Many organizations have that issue, and what I hear is that BJP also has that. What the ground karyakartas are saying, it never reached to the top because there are many mid-tier layers which are compromised. Slogans giving with no clear objectives. This is a political party. Every word that they speak matters. When they say something like 400 par, for what? Is it for the ego purposes? If they don't define what it is for, then people fill in the gaps, including enthusiasts and our opposition side, right? The enthusiasts simply said it's for changing the constitution. For changing constitution, if you require two-thirds of 543 is 362. That's all that you need, and which they already had. So it is not for changing constitution. But the opposition took that as an opportunity, and they created a momentary hysteria in some groups saying that the constitution will be changed, they're going to lose their reservation or whatever. You see, they gave an opportunity to the opposite side to create that kind of a hysteria and change the votes. You never give slogans without explaining why you have that. See, Abki Baar Modi Sarkar, you can understand. Whatever I'm doing, I'm going to do more of that. Why 400? Right? When 362 is the two-thirds. And it is a bigger damage was done by the actual enthusiasts who said we need 2/3 majority, which BJP already had, right? So why? So they played into this hands. Then we have expansion of the base. I think I already mentioned about the Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan has 30% to 40% Congress for the last 20 to 25 years. And I don't understand why it continues to have the same way. Maybe that areas BJP never explored, never made any inroads, no change at all. So is it possible? I feel that they are not adding in more groups. And they said, as long as we win, as long as it's enough to win, like in Gujarat, it's enough to win, they stopped it. There, in fact, has been no progress because there is a 30% voter base of Congress and that continues for the last 25, 30 years. Same in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. That hasn't changed at all. This is something they have to work on and they have to improve that base. And Hindus, I think I just mentioned before, is a Sangathan of 20 to 30,000 minority groups. Many of the Hindus at this point are, I would call them as accidental Hindus, who are Hindus by birth and or habit, who do not understand the civilizational culture and the identity. So this is a group that will make a very gradual progress. We have about 10-20% who understand it, who take pride in it, and who feel that identity, necessity of that. So that group is slowly growing, and it's a 1,000-year battle. It's a long battle, and we'll go slowly with that. Steady progress, the last 2 points, is nation building. BJP should resist from doing catering to the populist demands. As we have seen, Ayodhya to all the wars and all of those things, really, and great economic growth, no, they don't really have an impact on the voter base. You have to do things which are good for the country, which they have been doing it. They should continue with that and spread the message on what are the good deeds that they did and how they're going to improve the nation, make it stronger, economically and defense-wise and all of them. They should not fall for this populist demands. Yes, there is a fan base, 10-20%, who are going to be upset. They'll make the most noise. But it's like when you have a 911 call, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. They're going to follow the protocols and do things in a very systematic manner. And BJP should do that of nation building. Sangh was also built for nation building, and BJP is the political side of the nation building, and they should do the nation building systematically, block at a time, not succumb to the populist demands. And it's a 1,000-year civilization that they have to plan for. It's not for the next elections that they are battling. And nation-centric, I think one good thing is, personally, I don't think a party-centric is how the party needs to run and not a person-centric. I mean, there was Modi ji, absolutely, I love him. He's a fantastic prime minister and all of that. But the concern was if it becomes Modi ji-centric, then what happens in 2029, right? So now at least they know that it's going to be party-centric. These are the factors that matter, I think, and some of them have been corrected and things are going in the right direction. It's not a panic time. It's not all the doomsday that people have talked about. It's much better than that. So that's about it. Any questions?
I'm just blown away by the work that you've done, Mohan Garu.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
I feel a lot of things that many of the guests who came on my channel, if they had the benefit of wisdom of looking at your data, would not be saying what they said, myself included.
So, the whole purpose of this was just that basically a lot of the things that people talk about, if you look at the numbers and do the analysis, it shows an entirely different picture. People often look at the 99 seats and they look at few things and say, oh, BJP is the end of a doomsday. Not really. Congress actually gained nothing. If we were to sit with a Congress party person and have a clear discussion on, listen, this is what it is, I'm sure every Congress party person knows that they're finished. Nothing changed. Despite all of these gimmicks, their bloc hasn't changed at all.
My only observation here is in the last slide, you mentioned about demographic change. And that is a cause for concern. Next is also, I think there was always the belief that development is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. The academics will understand what I just said immediately. In academia, that is how you invent new things, proof, necessary condition and sufficient condition. What is that sufficient condition? That's probably one place where BJP knows how to do this. My hope is that they do it fast enough so that they can turn the ship around as early as in the Maharashtra elections. Thank you once again, sir. Namaskar.
Yes. Namaste.